I'm going to return to the scenarios, the possible scenarios that I showed you, where X could be 1200 or X could be 600 or X could be 100. We don't know which one of these is the best one to minimize the inventory cost. All right, so in this case, say you ordered 1200 cases of orange juice and you paid for 1200 cases the entire year, all year. You paid for 1200 that was sitting in storage. Now that would seem unfair because sometimes you have 1200, but sometimes you might have 5, but you're still paying for 1200. Okay, so in this problem, let me go to the problem itself. It says right here, it is going to cost you $8 to store a single case. So in this scenario, you'll take 1200 cases of orange juice and multiply it by 8 over the course of a year. Okay, now that wouldn't seem fair. As I just mentioned, sometimes you'll have a bunch in storage and sometimes you wouldn't have many. So what you're going to do is the negotiation between you and the storage unit place is you'll pay for half the number in storage. So you only pay for 600. So this is 1200 divided by 2. That's how much you want to pay for it. Now this is the reasoning. Because if you pay 600 all year, so 600 times 8, then half the time you'll have more in storage than you're paying for, right? 1200, 1100, 500, 700. This entire part of the year, this part of the year, right? Represented by this many cases of orange juice, you're going to be paying for more in storage than 600, but you're going to compensate for the fact that you'll pay for less then you'll have less in storage than you're paying for, right? So the same thing is going to happen in this scenario. Say you're getting 600 cases of orange juice twice a year, right? So you negotiate with the storage unit and you say, why don't you just let me pay for half of that? 600 divided by 2, which is 300 cases of orange juice. So for this chunk right here, you're going to have more in storage than 300, right? But it'll compensate for the fact that you have less in storage than the 300. Same thing here, more in storage than the 300, less in storage than the 300. So over here, same scenario, you don't want to pay for 100. Sometimes you only have like 3 in storage. So we'll go to the halfway point again. So this is 100 divided by 2, or 50. Okay, so when we do our storage costs, and I'm just going to write it on here for the sake of space, storage cost. Okay, so let's go to this one piece of information right here. It costs $8 to store 1 case of orange juice. Orange juice for 1 year, $8. We don't want to write 8x because 8x would be, this would be $8 each, and that would be the max in storage. But what did I do? I said that's unreasonable, and each time I cut the max in half, which is why this will always be divided by 2. Okay, over here, look, 600 was the max. I said cut it in half, pay for 300 instead all year long. And here, 1200 was the max. I said in here, pay for 600 all year long. All right, so let's try to tie these two pieces together. I'm going to stop there and pick it up the next part. So I've got my ordering cost. I have a formula that is relevant. And I have my storage cost equation right here, right? Which is based off of the average number of items that we have in an order-reorder period. Okay, there's one last thing that I wanted to point out, and it appears that there's a relationship between the maximum number of items that you have in storage and the orders. So if you order 1200, which means X equals 1200, then you can only have one order. All right, hold on, let me zoom in on that so that you can see it. right? So if you've got 1,200 items in order, cases of orange juice per order, then you can only have one order. Over here, notice, you've got 600 cases of orange juice. So X equals 600, 600 at a time, and you've got 2 orders over the course of a year. Here, notice the number of items in storage is 100 cases of orange juice, and you've made 12 orders. So each time you'll notice I get the exact same number if I multiply these two together. X times R gives me 1,200, and that makes sense. 100 cases 12 times gives you a total of 1,200. Over here, let's try it again. X times R, still 1,200. Yeah, if you have 2 orders of 600 each, that should give you a total of 1,200. And then here also, X times R equals 1,200, which is the total that you have. So 1 order of 1,200. So that's one last piece that I want to tie in here, and I'm going to put that on this sheet because that's going to be helpful as well. So if I take the number of items in an order and multiply it by the number of orders in the year, this should be the total that I am trying to sell over the course of a year. Okay, so in this scenario, we have X times R equals, let's go back up, it's right there, 1,200 cases. All right, so I'm going to clean this up because I have things in various spots, but I think that's going to be okay because I plan on starting basically from scratch in the next video.